الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونشكره ونستعين به ونسترشده ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وقائدنا ومرشدنا وحجتنا وشفيعنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة. عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله وطاعته، وأحثكم على التمسك بهدي قرآنه وسنة نبيه. فقد قال الله جل من قائل: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. صدق الله العظيم. My dear brothers and sisters, last week's khutbah generated more than usual feedback, and that is quite welcome. It's a sign of interaction whereby the congregation is relating to the topic at hand. However, out of the feedback that I received was an email 2 days ago related to the subject of the khutbah from someone who does not live in London, Ontario, so that we don't start spreading rumors. It was from someone who watched the khutbah on YouTube. And the question was, you remember I talked about inheritance and how siblings fight over inheritance and how family ties get severed because of disagreement over who is going to get what. Now the question was from a distraught father. He said that I have a daughter who left Islam. She decided not to become a Muslim anymore, and she declared that. The question was, and that's what really hurt me, am I justified in blocking her from my inheritance? This is why I got so hurt. Because his concern seemed to focus on how to distribute his money, what he owned. And he just felt that if he blocked her as a way to revenge, as a way to express his displeasure, that the problem is solved. And my answer to him clearly was, you should be more concerned about how you can try to bring her back, how to provide her with support to show that the injunctions of the Quran are put into practice. Quite often we recite from the Quran, but the recitation does not register. We read it and it seems that we feel we are getting the barakah, but we are not applying. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Zumar, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, tells us very clearly in what is labeled as أرحم آية في القرآن الكريم, the most merciful indicator in the Quran, whereby Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing us, telling us, say, Ya Muhammad, tell the faithful who had gone to extremes in distancing themselves from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do not despair, do not lose hope, for the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes Allah forgive all sins, because He is the forgiving, the all-merciful. So our concern should be that we continue to exercise that responsibility towards our children, no matter what happens to them, and we realize that the challenges they are subjected to are immense. By you getting angry and saying, you're not my son anymore, don't come close to my house, you're not going to solve the problem. You're not going to solve the problem. We know that our youth are facing lots of challenges, and it is our responsibility to keep on working on them, to help them, as we were reciting in Salat al-Fajr today. And it wasn't basically meant to be a prelude to this khutbah, because I was scheduled to give the khutbah in Toronto, and the Imam of the masjid in Toronto would give it today, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had it that the weather was not right for us to drive. So today at Fajr, it was the ayah from Surah Al-Tahrim that we heard through our own recitation, and we heard from our imams and khatibs recite it, but the focus was on the second part of this ayah. You will know what I mean after I recite it, which says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ نَارًا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. Now this ayah basically says, O people of faith, shield yourselves and your immediate families from the kind of fire that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put as a punishment for those who insist on deviating from His path. The fuel thereof is made of the people who will be in it, and rocks that will turn into amber, guarded by angels that are tough, that are firm. They do not disobey Allah, and they do exactly what they are commanded to do. Unfortunately, the focus of those who recited it and who talked about it is the second part, that be careful, because this is the abode of those who disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we do not put enough emphasis on the first two words or three words. قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ. Protect yourselves. Do that which is right. Now, don't just focus on the fear. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want to turn himself into someone associated with fear, but he wants to be associated with love. And I said it so many times. But there is targhib and tarheeb. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the style of, if you do not do that after all the attempts, then beware. This will be the outcome. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to protect ourselves, to shield ourselves, to do everything possible to ourselves and our immediate families. So if you have a son or a daughter who decided to abuse substance, who turned out to be a very vicious person, who turned out to be someone who doesn't like school, who turned out to be someone who has nothing to do with the masjid, who turned out to be someone who does not respect you, who turned out to be someone who is in and out of jail, who turned out to be someone who is living on the streets, who turned out to be someone who is living on intoxicants, instead of cutting your relationship with your responsibility, because he remains your responsibility until the end. You should ask yourself, perhaps I had something to do with it, and I should be doing something as per the ayah, قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ. Work on yourselves and your children. Protect them. Don't leave them. Brothers and sisters, we know that for every young person who is coming to the masjid, without exaggeration, I would say perhaps there are 30 young people who don't want to have anything with the masjid, who are not coming, who are not listening. It is these people that need our support. It is these people that we cannot really change our responsibility towards them. We have to bring them back. This is the responsibility of the masjid. Once there was a pious man walking with a group of his students, and they passed by a group of young people who were supposedly having, quote unquote, fun by breaking every rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were doing all kinds of haram, and they were having a blast, as they say. So his students looked at him and they said, Ya Sheikh, probably they deserve your dua. You should invoke the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on them. Make dua against them. So the Shaykh lifted his hands and he said, رَبَّنَا كَمَا أَضْحَكْتَهُمْ فِي الدُّنْيَا أَضْحِكْهُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. He said, Oh Allah, the same as you made them laugh in this dunya, make them laugh in the hereafter. So the students looked at him with a strange look on their faces, as if to say, we asked you to invoke the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on them. This is not the way to do it. Instead you just ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide them a happy abode in the hereafter. And look what they are doing. So they commented on that dua, and they said, Ya Shaykh, this is not what we asked. He said, when I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them laugh in the hereafter, it's the same as for me asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide them with guidance in this life. So basically, I am making dua for them, to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them make a U-turn. This is what we need to do. The famous Ibn Ata'Illah al-Sakandari, in his compilation called Al-Hikam Al-Ata'iyya. This is a very learned scholar from Alexandria in Egypt who lived about 200 years back. You know, he said something very precious. He said, من اطلع على أسرار العباد ولم ينظر إليهم بعين الرحمة الإلهية كان اطلاعه عليهم فتنة. Ya Allah. He said, he or she who allows himself, even if you are a father or a mother, to look at the privacy of other people, even if they are immersed in sin, without having the intention to help them out of that situation. If you just look at them just to get to know what they are doing and then go and spread rumors, such an attempt to violate their privacy. You say, but look what they're doing. Doesn't matter. Such an attempt to violate their privacy for no reason but to get to know what they are doing, this is a form of sedition. This is a form of disruption for no reason. This is wrong. You know, when Umar ibn al-Khattab, probably some of us know this story. You know, Umar ibn al-Khattab used to be very conscious of the affairs of the community. He used to go and try to find out what's going on. One time he was going and he heard some young people from behind a wall laughing loud, the same as the story that I just mentioned about the sheikh who made dua. So he heard them and he knew that they were violating the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Umar ibn Khattab, out of concern, he just climbed to find out what they are doing, and he caught them. He caught them in the act. And then he started to scold them. One among those young people, he said, Umar, listen, if we are violating by intoxicants, you made 2 violations. And one of them is no less than our violation, and that is you violated our privacy. Ya Allah. This is our Islam. He's telling the Khalifa, you violated our privacy. What are you going to do to help us? Don't just look at us and say you are bad, as some people say. We know that. When we find that there are youth from our community who are not what we wish them to be, we start to I'm not going to say what we do. We use our tongue to scold them. We use our actions. We use our displeasure. We just, what are we going to do? My dear brothers and sisters, yesterday morning, I had an eye-opener participation at a breakfast held at the convention center. This breakfast meeting was held by an organization 14 years old in our city in London called YOU, Youth Opportunities Unlimited, YOU. And what this organization does is that they go and bring troubled youth, those homeless youth who are abusing substance, youth who are in and out of jail, youth who are, doing every wrong thing. They bring them and they are placing them at different homes and rehabilitate them, provide them with jobs, make communities of them, even single mothers. Now said, but don't talk about this because we don't want. By the way, for those who don't know, we have all the problems outside within our community. What are we doing? Yesterday, the story was, look at this. And I asked, what's stopping us from doing the same thing? And I'm, by the way, planning a meeting with their executive director through MRC, Muslim Resource Center. We need to get to those troubled youth. And I know many of them who are even reluctant to speak with me because I represent something that they don't want to have anything to do with. It's okay. We shouldn't be angry. When you want to save a cat from entanglement, and as you extend your hand, the cat wants to bite you, to scratch you, and if you just say, I'm not going to attempt to save the cat, well, the best thing that the cat knows to do is to do that. Are you going to be behaving like a cat? We've got to reach out to those people. Yesterday, in less than 20 minutes, they were able to raise $150,000. Just like that. And the executive director said that their budget now is $17 million in 14 years. So we've got to do something. This is what I want to leave with us. I will talk more about the rising divorce rate among the youth, about substance abuse, about addiction, about all kinds of things. Stay tuned. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فيا فوز المستغفرين. May dua Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he will accept our dua. Ameen ya Rabbil Alamin. الحمد لله واشهد ان لا اله الا الله والصلاه والسلام على رسول الله وعلى اله وصحبه ومن والاه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My dear brothers, sisters, last week I invited the youth between 15 and 25 to come to the Islamic Center, to our center, so that we can start to do something. So that they can start asking questions. Alhamdulillah. We had 18 young people, but if you think statistics, the 18 is a drop in the ocean. And here I am again asking us, and I don't say you because who am I and who are you? We are one family. And if we do not take this offer seriously and we don't do anything about it on the day of judgment, كلكم مسؤول أو كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell every parent, every guardian, every mother, every father that you have the opportunity to invite your young people to a very friendly, by the way, I had some timid young people in the beginning who were looking just like this and who were wondering what's going to happen. By the end of the session, alhamdulillah, they were smiling, they were talking, they were expressing themselves. So I am repeating the invitation. And I will continue to repeat it until we start to make this place into a beehive. Our youth need us. Perhaps maybe a logistical thing which I'm changing tonight. Probably parents found it difficult to bring their children and then go and then come back and pick them up after about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going today to try this, that you are welcome to stay, but we will ask you to sit in the back. Brother Adnan is going to arrange a beautiful setting, inshallah, whereby parents will sit in the back and children will sit in the front, and they will feel they can talk, inshallah. So instead of you leaving, you can come, stay with them, and at least know what the concerns are. So this is number one. Alhamdulillah, we had 45 people at the Fajr breakfast last Sunday. It was a great start, Alhamdulillah. But inshallah, on March 1st, it will get much better. We had a very good spiritual time, Alhamdulillah. Now, two more quick things. Number one, I know that some of you will not like me for this, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to say it. Smoking, the least we can say about it is makruh. Some people say it is haram. Others say, no, don't say haram, it's makruh, but I'm not going to get into the fiqh of it. But to see some people standing in front of a place that is meant to uphold wholesome behavior and to help people against such habits that are not wholesome, it is not right to stand in front of the door and smoke. So what we are going to do, inshallah, as all public buildings, this is the law, that 9 meters around the building circumference, you're not allowed to smoke. So it will, and we will put signs, and especially really sightly when there is a funeral or there is a wedding celebration, and at the funeral people are really listening to some Quran and listening to this, and there are people smoking outside. That's not right. So this is number one, be prepared. The signs will be placed very soon. Number two, some people, maybe unknowingly, they go make wudu, and then with their wet feet, they walk over the floor, and then they walk over the, those carpets where people come with their shoes. Maybe it is not clean, and then they step on them, and then they come and stand on the carpet, and we put our forehead on this carpet that is meant to be tahir. So please, what we are going to do again, we will provide the arrangement that we will make the carpets where you walk a little bit wider, you walk on them only, and there will be signs that will be imprinted on the floor saying, keep this dry, do not walk on them with your shoes. We want to keep this place clean. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وخطايانا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا. اللهم كن معنا ولا تكن علينا عباد الله. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. يا أيها الذين كفروا لا تعتذروا اليوم إنما تجزون ما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا توبوا إلى الله توبة نصوحا عسى ربكم أن يكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار يوم لا يخزي الله النبي والذين آمنوا معه نورهم يسعى بين أيديهم وبأيمانهم يقولون ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله